Hi, it's Carly McAvoy. I'm looking at slope-intercept form and point-slope form for the 7th part of our midterm review. Finding the equation of a line is something that we've already done, so if you don't need this review, then you can skip this video. Slope-intercept form, remember, is y equals mx plus b. M is the slope and b is the y-intercept. And the point-slope form, y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1, where m is the slope and x sub 1 and y sub 1 are the coordinates of the given point. Number 1 says find the equation of a line in slope-intercept form given that the line passes through the point negative 4, 3 and has a slope of 1/2. If they just ask you for slope-intercept form, that's all you have to enter. Sometimes they will ask you for the point-slope form and the slope-intercept form. We're going to use the point-slope form to start off, and then we'll solve that to find the slope-intercept form. So I have a slope of negative 1/2. I know that that is my m. I wrote 1/3, but it's 1/2. And my x-coordinate is negative 4. Notice that this is a minus, so I'm going to say minus negative 4. I can just go ahead and write that as plus 4. You can, but I'm going to do that in the next step. And over here I have y minus my y-coordinate, which is 3. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Y minus 3 equals negative 1/2 x plus 4. That would be the point-slope form. If I was asked that, that's the point-slope form. I don't put minus minus in a point-slope form, but I don't simplify it any more than that. Now I'm going to keep going. That was point-slope. Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to distribute my negative 1/2, negative 1/2 x. Half of 4 is 2, but that's negative. And then I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And I get y equals negative 1/2 x plus 1. And that is my slope-intercept form. So that's my answer because I was asked to give it in slope-intercept form. But I had to use the point-slope in order to get to that. I didn't really have to, but that's the way I'm doing it. There are other ways to get to that. And if you know a different way and you're not asked for point-slope, then that would be fine. Find the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that passes through these 2 points. Well, I need a slope. So I'm going to start off by finding the slope by subtracting the y's on the top, 7 minus 4, and the x's on the bottom, negative 2 minus negative 1. Be careful, it's minus already. Minus a minus is going to make that plus. 7 minus 4 is 3. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. Which means my slope is negative 3. Now I can choose either one of these points to work with. I'm going to randomly choose this one, and I'm going to say y minus 4 is equal to negative 3. I'm plugging into this formula up here, x minus negative 1. And that means I have y minus 4 is negative 3 x plus 1 as my point-slope form, if they ask for that. Now I'm going to go on to find the slope-intercept because that's what they asked for. Negative 3x minus 3, and then I'm going to add 4 to both sides, and I get y equals negative 3x plus 1. That is my slope-intercept form. All right, then this one at the bottom says a quantity y is initially negative 45 and decreases at a rate of 28 per day. Find an equation y equals mx plus b that models the quantity y after x units of time. So what I'm interested in first is what is my y-intercept? What does a y-intercept stand for? Well, the y-intercept is what you get when x is 0, or in other words, no days have passed. Well, that's the initial quantity. Initially, before any days have passed, it was 45. So I know that down here it's going to be 45, but is it plus or minus? Well, it says negative, so that's going to be negative 45. That's my starting point. And then it's decreasing at 28 per day. Decreasing means going down. So I have negative 28x minus 45. It's decreasing, and it also started negative. That's my final answer. If this was initially positive, let's say it was started off at 37 positive, let's say it started off at positive 37, that's my starting point, and it was increasing by 10 per day, well then it'd be this, right? If it's increasing, it's positive. If it starts off positive, it's positive. But this one started off negative and was decreasing. Okay, one more thing on this midterm review is interpreting something like this. This says driving a rental car X miles costs, and then it gives you a formula for that. Complete parts A through D. How much would it cost to rent the car but not drive it? Well, this is the cost per mile. So if you didn't drive it, it would cost you $35 just to drive it off the lot, or just to sit in it on the lot without driving it. How much does it cost to drive the car 1 additional mile? Well, you're going to pay $35. If you drive it 1 mile, that's going to be 54 cents. So it would cost $35.54. $35.54 if you drove it 1 mile. It costs 54 cents to drive 1 additional mile. I think that's what they're actually saying here. It costs 54 cents to drive a mile. It costs $35.54 if you drove 1 mile, but I think they're just asking for the cents there. What's the y-intercept? The y-intercept is what you get when you don't drive anywhere. X is 0. The y-intercept is 35. What does it represent in this situation? It represents the fixed cost, because it costs $35 no matter how much you drive. So the fixed cost is what the y-intercept represents in this problem. And what is the slope of this model? Well, the slope is the 54 cents, 0.54. That's the slope. And what does that represent? It represents the cost. It's not the fixed cost, because that was the y-intercept. The total cost, no, that's what the whole equation is. The miles driven, no. The cost per mile of driving the car. That's what 54 cents represents. All right, have a nice day.